Hello, I'm Deborah Sword.
Hi, I'm Tyson Binker.
Tyson, we've talked about doing a conflict analysis of popular culture. Let's try something a little different. So there are
Hmm.
two cartoons with two characters. Will you read one of the characters with me?
Absolutely.
All right. The first one is a parent and child. I'll play the parent. Wear your boots. It's snowing.
I'm not wearing boots. It's spring.
But it's snowing.
But it's spring.
But it's snowing.
But it's spring.
What do I have to do to make them understand?
What do I have to do to make them understand?
What do you think?
Hmm.
Who's right?
I'm,
Who's right and who's wrong?
yeah, I mean, it's that, I think the question is neither want to make that right. It's like it is who here is they can't help themselves understand each other, right? And that expression can be really frustrating because both see the weather in a particular way, and a value system that's coming in between what they want the other person to do. I think at the surface, we would think that, oh well, it's a parent and a child, parent telling child what to do, and the child being maybe defiant. But underneath, though, it's actually so much more than that. It's about practicality. It's also about choice and decisions. But really, it's about two people who are at a crossroads about understanding each other.
And they're both right. It is spring and it is snowing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, what are the interests for the parent? It's about keeping the child safe. And
Hmm.
for the child who is preteen, it's about not looking like a nerd, who's going to judge the child for wearing boots that aren't fashionable in the springtime and tired of winter, ready for spring.
Hmm.
And the parent is telling me what to do. So they're both right and they're both frustrated.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, it also makes me think about, um, we've talked a lot about sort of conflict styles and where, how do these two people want to, what kind of conflict style wins out essentially, right? In the end, is it my way or the highway, competitive? Is it, do they compromise? Do they just avoid it and neither and they don't bring it up again and the younger person doesn't go outside in the end, right? Because they just don't want to have the conversation. And is it some form of accommodation? And I think that there's a follow-up to this comic strip, which is them coming back to each other and talking exactly that about this.
Yeah. And I want to parse out the words a little bit more. So, wear your boots. It's snowing. So, the parent has expressed the position, wear your boots. It's snowing. The reason, my why. I'm not wearing boots. It's spring. The child hasn't said what the reason is. At that point, the parent could have said, what is it about spring, which is just a date on the calendar, that is compelling,
Mm-hmm.
the compelling reason for you not wanting to wear boots? And the child might have said they're out of fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to carry my shoes because my backpack is already full and I don't want to wear
Mm-hmm.
boots all day. So the parent could have said a bunch of things, but instead repeated feeling unheard and used the word but.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you say but, you nullify what has come before. It's an argumentative word. So I'm not wearing boots. It's spring and it's snowing. Yes, that's true. It's spring on the calendar. Do you see the snow? And the child says, but it's spring, thereby nullifying what went before.
Hmm.
So, but is a very argumentative word. So, there are a couple of things the parent could have done, and they would have gotten to the child's interests. And perhaps there could have been some kind of resolution that would have been less frustrating for both of them. There's one more cartoon that I thought we could analyze. Are you ready for this one?
Right before we do, I do just want to get to the last one, which is that question: what do I have to do to make them understand? And I think just it's really interesting over the conversation. They're both thinking this, they're not saying it. And I think that that question or prompt of to everything that you've just said is that under like let us help each other understand our point of view. And so but they both think it and not say it.
Exactly. So this is a young, they're late teens. They used to be in a relationship. They've broken up. I see your sister is going to away to university.
She's not too excited about it though. She doesn't want to leave her friends.
Yeah, long distance relationships don't work out too well.
Deborah, you know I'd go to school here if I could, but I can't.
What makes you think I was talking about us? You didn't hear what I said.
Mhm. I heard what you didn't say.
I like this cartoon because it shows two things. One is that there's a miscommunication between hearing and listening, the words and how they're interpreted. But the other possibility is that maybe you got it wrong. We aren't mind readers. When you say, I heard what you didn't say, maybe check in. Were you talking about us?
Hmm. 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 Yeah, it also makes what brings up for me is are these assumptions that we hold about what we about a pattern typically of what you've been seeing, and so without actually addressing in a very passive way, addressing the underlying kind of thoughts and feelings you might have by saying, I heard what you didn't say. Whether it's true or not, you don't know that. And so you're making an assumption. Um, and but what I also read in this is that the person does care. You know I'd go to school here if I could, but I can't, right? And so um that person's response then is, as you said, what makes you think I was talking about us? But that person also said something before that, which was, but I can't. I want to curious. Like, what do you mean that you can't? Like, we do I know about what you can't do? But if my reaction then is to just go back to maybe being a little bit defensive, it then leads me to say, you're not hearing me either.
Yeah. And when somebody says you didn't hear what I said, the two reactions, I heard what you didn't say, or what didn't I hear? One
Mm,
asks a question, one makes an assumption.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
The assumption might be correct, but until you ask, you really don't know. So the conflict competency, listen to the words, listen to what's under the words, check in, make sure you've got that your assumption is correct.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think like this comic book also um shares that, you know, it we're always having to, check in and be and be really curious, I think, and be inquisitive about what that other person wants to say and is saying.
Yes. And the conflict competency here is to practice. When
Hmm.
you're reading a cartoon or a book, do you see how we pulled apart the communication to see what were the other options? Because the cartoonist set up the tension, set up the conflict, showed the misunderstanding. We have the luxury of going back, looking at the words and the history between the characters, their age difference in the parent-child scenario or the previous relationship between these two characters who have broken up. We can see the context and the quality of the relationship, so we can pull it apart. How might I do that better? So these are
Hmm.
opportunities to practice your conflict competence. And I'll put the cartoons dialogue in the show notes so that people can see what we were looking at.
Great.
Thank you, Tyson. Thank you for practicing conflict competence with me.
Of course, anytime. Thank you for all for listening. Like and subscribe as well.
Thank you. We'll do this again. We're going to be doing a conflict analysis of popular culture about once a month. So please check back again. Thank you.